only one surround system in the Senate floor. It is our honor to be here this morning. One thing while we were working on this movie that was overwhelming to us was the more that we researched the impact of fatherhood on a person's life, we begin to realize that there's actually no one more influential in the life of a child than his or her father. Moms are so courageous and they're carrying the weight in our nation. But everyone has a father story. And if you want to get to the core of who a person is, get them to start talking about their dad. And usually there's tears that follow. Because people either admire their father and they look up to him and they want to follow his example, or they were deeply wounded by him. And we found out that most men and most young people can say, I didn't really have a good relationship with my dad. And my dad was not there for me. And each person in this room has got a father story, and it's a deeply felt one. It says in the Bible that the glory of children are their fathers. In the last verse of the Old Testament, God says He wants to turn the hearts of fathers back to their children and children back to their fathers. Now, when we look at the research into what's going on across our nation, we find out that the majority of rapists, school dropouts, drug users, students with behavior disorders consistently come from fatherless homes. And so we see throughout society the damaging effects of what happens when a kid is removed from his or her father. Because the way that God designed the family, there needs to be a mom and a dad in the home. And dads can't be moms and moms can't be dads. And it says in Scripture that pure religion is when a church or when a people group begins to reach out and to visit the fatherless in their affliction and widows in their affliction. And so when we were working on Courageous, we began to realize that even our own father had a huge impact on our lives. And that he had grown up in poverty, he'd grown up in insecurity because his own dad had let alcoholism affect his life and immorality in his life. But our dad was the chain breaker in our home. He forgave his father. He began a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. And he said, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And so we grew up in a home where instead of stumbling upon our dad looking at pornography, we stumbled upon him on his knees in prayer on behalf of his sons and his family. And we saw faithfulness to our mother. We learned how to get along with other people, how to take responsibility for the decisions of our lives, and to embrace the faith of our Father. And so it is our desire to lift up a new banner and let dads know across this nation, your role is vitally important. And you need to rescue the mothers of your children by helping them carry the weight in the home and taking responsibility for your kids and loving them. And we found that so many men, they want to be involved in their kids' lives, but they don't know what that looks like. Because if you look at the television shows today, you know, we grew up watching Andy Griffith and Leave It to Beaver and Father Knows Best, where you see dads involved in their kids' lives. But now you watch Family Man and you watch The Simpsons, and you don't see honorable roles of what a dad is supposed to be in the lives of his kids. And so we wanted to lift up for this generation, here's what heroic fatherhood looks like. Here's what it looks like when a dad discovers how important his role is in the life of his children, and he begins to love them and invest time in their lives, and begins to provide an example for them. And so we wrote the movie Courageous with the hope that regardless of what your experience was with your dad, that you would be inspired to forgive him if he wounded you, and then also for the young men in this generation, for them to get a new vision of fatherhood. And so we're very grateful that the movie has been resonating across America. That last week it was the #1 DVD in the nation. That men have been coming out of the theaters, they've been saying, I've now got a new vision for being involved in the lives of my children. And so we want to thank you for your support. We want you to know that every time you pass legislation that strengthens the roles of dads and moms and families and marriages, you are strengthening, you're putting a new pillar in holding up society, and you're also strengthening the future educational progression, the future marriages, the future financial responsibility of the next generation. And every time you pass a law or you promote something that undermines the role of moms and dads and fathers in home, then we're putting another crack in the dam of society, and we're actually shooting ourselves in the foot. But we want to thank you for this this role, for this honor today, and for this resolution. And we want to commend you in your courageous leadership and your service in the state of Georgia. God bless you.